Alright, so I'm back, and today we are going to do. Well, I was going to do an update video, but then I decided I didn't want to wait, because in my update video I was going to let you guys know I was going to do a rant of the week about a comic book character. But I decided, thinking about it just got me a little heated. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do the rant of the week today. But first, quick update. So the raffle for Grimlock, the Toy World Grimlock, we're about halfway there, a little more than halfway there. So if you guys are interested in joining the raffle, there's a link below to my Facebook page that will describe how the raffles work. And hopefully we'll be able to raise enough money this week to get them ordered. Because again, the sooner we get the raffle up, the sooner we can get the figure ordered, and the sooner I can pick the winner. So again, check out the link below. About a little more than halfway there, and yeah, kudos. The first raffle, where we did the Perceptor, Fans Force Perceptor. I mean, we did it in like 3 days, but this one, it's already been a week and not much has happened with it yet. So, halfway, which is still great, but still, more is better. Right? Anyway, all right. So, rant of the week. So this is not Transformer related, but this is something that's been really egging at me for a while. And the other day I saw something, and it just pushed me a little over the edge. And now that I've got somewhat of a fan base, I have somebody to rant to that might actually care. Anyway, so the other day I was watching the top 10 comic book characters that need their own movie, and from Watch Mojo. Great list, but some of it I don't agree with, like Power Girl. Who cares? I mean, there's one or maybe two things why we would want to see that video or that movie. And Black Widow, really? Black Widow? I don't want to see a Black Widow movie. I don't think anybody wants to see a Black Widow movie. I think she needs to be featured more in the Captain America movies, for sure. And that's exactly what happened in Winter Soldier, and that made me happy. But she's not a character. I mean, I never watched the movie Lucy, but that's what I would imagine a Black Widow movie by itself would be. It's something like that. And I don't see her being able to carry her own movie. Anyway, my number one pick, obviously, is going to be Moon Knight. The one that I have etched into my arm. I might be the biggest Moon Knight fan out there. I have almost every single comic book appearance he's ever been in sitting in a box next to my review station. So, I always said he needs his own movie or TV show or something. He needs to be pushed out there. And, so, Watch Mojo had their own opinions, that's fine. I'm not sitting here insulting Watch Mojo because I'm subscribed to them and I watch their videos a lot. So, anyway, but in the comments, somebody said, hey, where's the Moon Knight movie? And everyone's like, well, nobody wants to see Moon Knight because he's just a cheap knockoff of Batman. And that is my rant of the week today. Batman versus Moon Knight. Because everyone, just looks at the surface and says, oh, they're just cheap knockoffs of each other. And they're not at all. I mean, if you ever read Batman and you read Moon Knight, you know that there is so much more to him. Moon Knight, here's the cover of one of his books. As you see, yeah, okay, he's got the cape, he's got the cowl, he's got the moon symbol on his chest. And he uses moon darts for throwing things. Okay, Batman uses batarangs. Okay. That's pretty much the end of their similarities. So real briefly, let's talk about the background. We all know where Batman comes from. He comes from a wealthy family. His parents were killed, and he decided to make that into, here's another Moon Knight comic. The whole shelf just collapsed. He comes from a wealthy family. His parents were murdered, and he uses that to be his justification for fighting crime. Moon Knight comes from a Jewish family, I believe. Um, that's it for his child tragedy. That's it. I mean, really, that's it. He became a boxer, and then later joined the army, and got swept up into the Black Ops or Marines, which then turned him into a mercenary, um, where he was fighting and killing for money. Okay, Batman, he did he ran off and trained to become a ninja. I mean, you don't get too many conflicting stories there. I mean, ninja, mercenary, major difference there. In a fight that I'm not going to talk about who would win in a fight, because my opinion on the matter would be, I don't know. Batman's trained a little bit better when it comes to a lot of fighting styles than Moon Knight is, but Moon Knight's a little bit more ruthless, and he's got a lot more military training than Batman. So it could go either way. And we're not talking about that. We're talking about the differences in between the characters. So Batman trains to be a ninja. He comes back, becomes Batman, and he's using the money that was inherited to him, inherited being the key word there, to fight crime. Moon Knight was a mercenary. He killed a lot of people, made a lot of money, and when he finally, and then he was killed as a mercenary trying to do the right thing for once, and he was resurrected by an Egyptian god. I'm still not grasping why everyone says Moon Knight is just a knockoff of Batman. Resurrected by an Egyptian god? Trained to be a ninja. But when he finally came back to fight crime, he was using the money that he made as a mercenary. So this is all blood money. This isn't family money. This isn't inheritance. This is blood money that he's using. There are other things that you can say are similar between the two. Aside from just the costume ideas, Moon Knight has, he has helpers. He's got a butler, but the butler's not Alfred, not even close. He's got a pilot that's probably a little bit closer to Alfred, ex-mercenary as well. He's got a maid. She only shows up here and there. And he's got a girlfriend that on again, off again girlfriend, but pretty much consistent throughout the entire story arc. Batman, he has Alfred, and then he gets all the little children that he abducts off the street and trains to be ninjas to follow in his footsteps. And he nails every other girl in the DC universe, apparently. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to insult Batman. I love Batman. Don't get me wrong. He's in my top 10 of favorite heroes of all time. Don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to, make sure you guys know that these two are different characters entirely. Not to mention, Batman, he's got a few screw loose. You're not sane when you do the things Batman does. Moon Knight is completely off his rocker. I mean, he's gone. I mean, there is very little sanity. He's got split personality disorder. He's let's see, being resurrected by an Egyptian god. He is talking to the Egyptian god at times that's telling him to do things that he doesn't want to do, or he's talking to himself. Either way, whatever it is resurrects him from the dead a few times. So again, completely different stories. Moon Knight, another big difference between the two is Batman refuses to kill his villains. He'll arrest them and he'll put them in Arkham. He's got one of the best rogue galleries out there. No doubt about it. Moon Knight, on the other hand, he could have one of the best rogue gallery out there. But tendency of him killing his opponents is pretty high. If it turns into a situation where the villain's about to get away and do a bunch of more horrible stuff, Moon Knight will kill him. He'll just kill him. Or, Batman will, risk his life to save the villains, if they put themselves into a situation where they're about to die on their own hands. Moon Knight will just watch them die. He doesn't care. He's just, see ya. I mean, yeah. In later story arcs, he's sitting there wanting not to kill anybody, but in those same story arcs, he kills at least 3 people. So, yeah, he's got a moon-shaped helicopter. Batman's got the bat plane. Why are what's different about them is because Batman is showing the Batmobile and the bat plane as symbols of him. Symbols, everyone's like, oh man, it's Batman. Moon Knight, on the other hand, he's showing off the symbols of his god, the Egyptian god of vengeance. He is showing that's what he wears. He's the avatar of vengeance. So, when he's dressed in his robes, as he says in one of the books, he's not, he's a representation of this Egyptian god. Batman dresses like a bat to strike fear in his enemies. Both of which work about the same, but they're from different standpoints. Batman, in some continuities, Batman says he's afraid of bats, and that's why he chose bats, because they terrify him the most. So, okay. Moon Knight is just picking what the Egyptian god told him to pick. So there's a big difference there. I think. I really think there's a huge difference there. Batman's one of the founding members of Justice League, and he's been in Justice League forever, as long as I can remember. I don't know about the New 52, but for as long as I know Batman, he's been a part of the Justice League, teaming up with other heroes. Moon Knight, he was part of the Avengers, and as he says, in one of the books, which is one of my favorite lines of the books, is, in this town, you're not considered a hero until you join the Avengers. So I joined the Avengers. And what do? They send me to the West Coast B team. And the last time he was in the Avengers, in the Mark Spector books, he ends up giving the finger to everybody and burning his Avengers card and walking out on them. He gave up. He quit. He was done. He eventually rejoined into the Secret Avengers, but that was actually one of the worst storylines for him, for his character. So going back to what I was saying before, though, how Moon Knight would kill his villains if he had to. Somebody like the Joker, he would have killed him a long time ago. He wouldn't put him in jail. That's why I kind of more agree with Moon Knight than I do Batman at times, because Batman, yeah, he's got all these things that he stands for, and I agree with those things. That makes him a good hero. But at the same time, if somebody like the Joker, you keep arresting him, they keep getting out and they keep killing more people, isn't it irresponsible to let them go? Let them do that. Because I think it is. Whereas Moon Knight would just kill him, he'll have one more soul in his conscience and he'll move on. He wouldn't care that much, if at all. If anything, he might make it as an example to the next supervillain that tries to do the same thing. He doesn't deliberately kill everybody, but sometimes he does. There's one story arc where somebody had these nanites from Stark Industries, and they were going to be able to rewrite people's minds, and the guy had injected himself with the nanites that would make him control everybody in New York. And Moon Knight he was defeated. There was no other way to win. So he just pushed him off the building and sent him to his death. And that was the end of that villain. I would have done the same thing. I think anybody would. But not Batman. Batman would try and find the other way. And that's another thing. That is one thing that always bothered me about Batman is like, oh, he's always got something up his sleeve to fight whatever it is he's fighting. Be it, kryptonite in his belt, just in case Superman goes bad again, or shark repellent spray that blows up sharks. I'm sorry, guys. That's Batman. That is Batman. Can't sit there and tell me, oh well, they've reconned Batman a few times since then. No, that's still Batman. That's still a vivid memory of Batman. Shark repellent spray. Batman. He's had sidekicks. He had Robin, who turned into Nightwing. Awesome character. He had Jason Todd as Robin, who got killed and turned into Red Hood. Again, awesome character. He had Tim Drake turn into Robin, and I don't know about the new 52 or whatever, but last I heard last I was reading about Tim Drake, he was still Robin, and I still loved him. I thought he was a great Robin. He had Batgirl, a couple Batgirls, but the first one, Barbara Gordon, gets shot by the Joker or whatever. But Moon Knight, on the other hand, his sidekicks were Midnight. That's it. That was the one. Who, and this was actually before the Red Hood storyline. Yeah, Jason Todd was already dead, but before he became the Red Hood, Midnight was gutted and turned into a cyborg to go after Moon Knight. It was round robin story arc, and it was a crossover between Punisher and Spider-Man. Pretty good story. The ending of it was not until Volume 4, Midnight Sun, which was a great book. Great ending. But it's like, that's what happens to Moon Knight's friends. And that's another thing that, I lost my train of thought there. But yeah, anyway. Moon Knight is also a lot more violent than Batman will ever be. Dogs barking. But, there's a while he's carving crescent moons into people's foreheads, which I think I saw in the new trailer for Batman v Superman, so Batman stole that idea from Moon Knight. I'm serious when I say I love Batman. Don't get me wrong. I will go see every single Batman movie there is. I love Batman Forever. Batman Robin, not so much. But Batman Forever, I thought it was a good movie. Not nearly as good as the first two, but it was a good movie. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I love the original Batman. I love, I want to eventually buy all the Batman the Animated Adventures on TV or on video. So don't get me wrong when I'm joking about Batman. The bulk of this story is to show or to say how different these two characters are. And Moon Knight used to be friends with Jason Macendale, who was the second Hobgoblin, because they're both mercenaries. So they knew each other back in the day. It's shit like that. He's a much darker character. And, and when Hawkeye made fun of him, and this is also from one of the comic books, when Hawkeye made fun of him, it was like, hey, you're a hero that fights primarily in the dark, and yet you wear all white. Don't you think they're going to see you coming? And Moon Knight's response is, yeah, they're supposed to see me coming. Because when they see me coming, they're going to be so afraid of me that they're not going to be able to shoot straight anyway. Batman's Batman. He's got the same philosophy, but, he does wear all dark so he can sneak up on people. Moon Knight does not want to sneak up on you. Remus is here. Hi, Remus. And powers and abilities. They're both very well trained fighters. They both have really good equipment, but Moon Knight, for the first part of his story arcs, had super strength that would wax and wane with the full moon. And what that was for was actually because he was bitten by a werewolf, and he was part werewolf. So that's a huge difference in between the two. You know, super strength, and Batman has no super strength. He never needed it. But Moon Knight, he did when he first started out. Then he lost it. Then he got it again from the Egyptian god, and then he lost it again. And currently he's still more in the regular human range. But the critical point of that is like, either one, he's so crazy that he thinks he has super strength, and he gets super strength from that craziness, or two, he's actually gotten an Egyptian god that's given him power from time to time when he's doing things that he agrees with. And yeah, that's pretty different than Batman. So anyway, I know a lot of people don't know about Moon Knight. You know, he's not the biggest Marvel comic character out there. So if you don't know about Moon Knight and you want to learn more, let's see here. Moon Knight Volume 4. This is the trade paperback for the first story arc called The Bottom. This right here will get you to know about Moon Knight, because it recaps everything that's happened in the past and kind of skips over the things that are a little wonky, because he's had a lot of different writers that don't always do the best job with him. The end of the Mark Spector series was definitely one of those categories where I was sitting there scratching my head like, what? But same with Batman. A lot of times where you don't, Batman doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But anyway, this would be a good starting point. The artwork, the artist that did this, I think it's Finch, does such an amazing job. You know, I love his artwork. I absolutely love it. And Huston writes a really compelling story. You also get to see Moon Knight versus let's see where to go. Yeah, it recaps a lot of stuff that happened in the first few series. All the important stuff to get you up to date if you're new to Moon Knight, which is really, really handy. But I'm trying to find the main villain here, but it's not sticking out to me. But, oh, here's a good picture of Moon Knight. So, I mean, yeah, a little bit different than Batman there. I mean, yeah, similarities, but difference. But, I mean, somebody could also say, you know, Superman's similar to Batman because of the fact that, you know, he has a big S and he wears a cape. Spider-Man's similar to Batman because he's got a spider symbol on his chest. So, you know, it's not always, you know, just because they look like it on the surface, once you actually get into the stories, they're so different than one another. But yeah, he fights this guy in this comic book, which is Taskmaster. So if you're familiar with the Marvel Universe, you're probably familiar with Taskmaster. So definitely, you know, this is a great story arc for him. But this is a great This is a great book, one of my favorite comic books sets of all time. And the whole volume 4 is a great story arc for Moon Knight, it really is. And then follow up to volume 4 was Vengeance of the Moon Knight, which also does a really good job to complete this story, but then it completely falls apart at the end because of the fact that he joins the Secret Avengers at the end, and that's where his story really takes a nosedive. I think that was one of the worst mistakes they ever did with him. I know that they're saying that Marvel's going to be rebooting the Marvel Universe, so I don't know what's going to happen to Moon Knight. But And that's one of those things. It's like, yeah, I really wish Marvel would take a little bit of a leap and risk with some of these other characters like Moon Knight, and give them movies, give them TV shows, because it's like DC. They're gonna throw Batman on the big screen again, and we all know it's gonna work because it's Batman. He's Batman. Marvel's gonna keep throwing out Avenger movies, and everyone's gonna be all about that. But it's like, Tony Stark's not gonna be in it forever. Neither is Captain America. So we need something new. They need to take a little bit of a risk here and there. I know they're trying to avoid the risk, but rebooting the Hulk again, not a very good idea. Because they've already rebooted it twice now, officially, or unofficially the second time, officially the first time. But I mean, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the bucket since they don't have since they don't have the rights to Fantastic Four, X-Men, or and now they got Spider-Man back, at least. Thank God. Don't get me started on that. But I mean, they really need to take a risk, because it's like, eventually the fans are going to get tired of seeing reboots of Spider-Man. Iron Man 3 really made me sit there and say, well, if they make another Iron Man movie, I probably won't go see it. If they make another Thor movie, I might go see it. I like the first one. The first one was great. The second one was pretty good. But I'm kind of thored out, and I'm kind of getting burned out from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So they need to get some fresh blood going. And Doctor Strange was never one that really appealed to me. And Ant-Man, not even close. Oh, he can grow and shrink. Good job. No. I want to see some originality in this. And I want to see, like, Moon Knight. That's a character. I want to see Black Panther. I want to see him more than Moon Knight. Because I think he would make a great big screen villain or hero. I do think the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now is a little, the white boys club, pretty much. You got two black sidekicks, and I think Black Panther would be awesome on the big screen. I really do. I was really hoping he would show up in the Age of Ultron. I was sitting there like, they're sitting there talking about his country. They're talking about, they didn't really say it, but animenium, or vibranium, or no, they were talking about vibranium, which comes from his country. And I'm sitting there like, come on, show up, just show up and start tearing shit up. And he never did, and I was like, so I was so mad that he didn't show up. That would have been a perfect placement for him, and you don't get those kind of perfect placements like that all the time. So anyway, back on topic. Moon Knight versus Batman. They're both awesome heroes, but I just needed an event, because I'm so sick and tired of everyone saying, well, Moon Knight's just a knockoff of Batman. Just go see Batman. It's not. It's completely different thing. My only thing about that would be, only hesitance on it being in the cinematic universes is that they'll have to dull down the violence. And Moon Knight's pretty violent. I mean, hell, he's one of his best buds was Punisher. So, I mean, there you go. There's he hangs out with Punisher, and Ghost Rider respects him. So, I mean, there you go. And Batman would fight the Punisher. That would be the first thing he'd do. I mean, I think Moon Knight tried to a couple times, but then they both just kind of like, yeah, let's go kill shit. It was a pretty cool team, because Moon Knight's like, I don't want to kill anybody. And Punisher's like, oh, well, I do. You gonna stop me? And Moon's like, no, I don't care. So it was just kind of like, and Spider-Man's over there like, oh, please stop killing people. But yeah, so anyway. Oh, and he also fought Deadpool and won. Like, complete, total, dismantled Deadpool win. Not just oh, well, I beat him on a technicality. No, he dismantled him. Literally literally dismantled Deadpool, and that was awesome. One of the best comic books I've seen in a while. It was great. And this is spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it or if you haven't read the book. So if you're interested in reading it, turn this off now. But anyway, Vengeance of the Moon Knight. I think it was 8, 9. Killed Not Dead was the story arc, and they're kind of like trading blows throughout a few comics, and then finally at the end they're facing off, and Deadpool's like, yeah, Moon Knight throws a bunch of the little crescent darts at him, and Deadpool's like, really, you're gonna throw this stuff at me? I mean, against me, a guy that can't die? And Moon Knight's like, can't die? Deadpool's like, yeah, if you would have taken the time to Wikipedia me, you know I have super mutant healing factor and regenerate for moons. I can't die. And Moon Knight's like, oh, really? And then that's when you see Deadpool like, uh-oh. And he just cuts him to ribbons. There's just blood everywhere. Moon Knight comes out, he's just covered in blood, and he's like, I feel better. Because he's been really like trying to tone down the violence a bit. And then when you find somebody like Deadpool, and he's like, alright, this is going to be fun. And I was really hoping that they'd make more of it, and just like whenever Moon Knight needs a vent, you'd go find Deadpool. But they didn't, so I thought that would have been awesome. Anyway, I'm done. What's your guys' opinions on stuff like this?